Hello, my name is Dr. Patricia Edwards. I'm a distinguished professor at Michigan State University, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to share with you my views on parental involvement. Let me tell you how I started on this journey. In 1983, I was teaching at Louisiana Tech University, and that's in Ruston, Louisiana. You probably never heard of it, but I can tell you a couple things. Terry Bradshaw went to Louisiana Tech. Carl Malone went to Louisiana Tech. In fact, I had the opportunity to teach Carl Malone. In fact, he majored in elementary education. When I was teaching at Louisiana Tech, at the end of student teaching, the students would always tell the faculty that there were two things that we had not done a very good job of. And those two things were, we had not shown them how to work with families and children, and we had done a horrible job in terms of showing them how to deal with discipline. So in 1983, I received a W.K. Kellogg Fellowship. Those are the cornflake people in Battle Creek, Michigan. And I was in this fellowship program, and it was focused on having people focus on an area outside of their area of specialization. My background, of course, is in reading and language arts. So I thought about what my students had said to me, and I decided to focus my fellowship on dealing with families and children. And I looked at the family from a psychological, sociological, educational, cross-cultural, and policy perspective. That sounds very impressive, but if you are in teacher education, you should be doing things to help teachers think differently about some of the things that they're doing. And I wanted to make an impact in the area of parent involvement. At the same time, I received a W.K. Kellogg National Fellowship, had also been appointed to the Head Start National Board. And that was to look at the incongruence between Head Start and public schools. Lots of kids do extremely well in Head Start, but once they start real school or big school, they have missed the train before the train has left the station. One of the requirements for being on this Head Start National Board was to volunteer to work at a local Head Start center. So what I did, I went and visited with a group of kindergarten, first and second grade teachers. And I asked them, I said, if you could tell me something to tell the parents that I'm working with at this local Head Start center, what would you tell them? And most of the teachers said to me, all of a sudden they said to me, after thinking about it, we think that all parents should be able to read with their children. I went back over to the Head Start Center. There were 150 families, and I talked to them about doing school, showing them how you need to make the connections between what you're doing in your home and what's happening at school. So after about spending about 6 months in this Head Start Center, I decided to pose a research question. And that question was, would you show me, even though you're not from the state of Missouri, what would you do if a teacher were to ask you how to read to your child? That started a really nationwide project. In fact, the work came out of that center was, with my work with Head Start parents, is that we need to shift from telling parents to actually showing them how to work with their kids, showing them how to read with their kids, excuse me. So when I moved down to Louisiana State University, I developed a program called Parents as Partners in Reading. It was a program designed to teach parents how to read with their children. That particular project was recognized by Mrs. Barbara Bush, former First Lady Barbara Bush, as one of the top 10 family literacy programs in the country. In 1989, I moved to Michigan State University, and that's when Dr. Judith Lanier was my dean, and we had professional development schools. And so I spent 4 years working at a professional development school, showing teachers how to work with families and children. I have to say this to you. The school that I was working with, that school was built in 1952. In 1952, this was a first-time homeowners community. Most of the parents were white, middle-class families, but when I came there in 1990, it was really interesting. The teachers were still thinking about parents the way they were in 1952. But in 1990, this school had become a transient community. There was a trailer park connected to the community, to this particular school, and downtown, quote, inner city Lansing. And what I worked on with teachers is creating a way to deal with parents. And I focused on three big things. We did a demographic profile to look at the kinds of families we were serving. We focused on developing a scope and sequence of parent involvement, because parent involvement should not be the same at each grade level. We also worked on curriculum-based parent involvement, making sure that parent involvement was not just ice cream socials, spaghetti dinners, pancakes, pancakes for breakfast, donuts for dads, muffins for moms, to make parent involvement move from an event to a curriculum-based type of parent involvement. So in my interactions with you, if you have any questions that you would like to ask me, I'll be open to answering any questions that you might have. But I do think that in this day and time, we have focused a lot on teacher accountability. But I do think it's important that we focused on parent accountability, because school is only 6.5 hours, and there's no way in the run of a day that a teacher can do everything that she needs to do. Now, I know you all are at a middle school. In middle school, you are teaching up to 110 kids per day, and it might not be so easy for you to get to know all of your parents and children. But I do think you need to look at your curriculum and figure out very specific ways that you can involve parents in supporting their children. And so I would like to engage you around those kinds of conversations. I look forward to working with you, and thank you so much for inviting me.